Mr. Dorgan? Okay.
Saw me reaching for my ticket. And I'm sure I'm gonna get the.
Good luck, Dave.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good luck, Dave.
Yeah. Kind of done.
It's a good card.
And we should do guests too. It's a wonderful.
Oh, we should. Yeah, my apologies. So you want to introduce yourself? Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Paul Hurdle and from the Ben Henriksen.
Oh, great. Thanks for
Thanks for
being
being
here.
here, Paul.
Gary Cummins, CPA with 40 Brown, Augusta, Scott Dave.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here, gentlemen. I'm sure those guys have told you, but you're welcome here every Thursday morning, and appreciate you coming to hear Jim. Okay, so Happy Dollars is next. I can start with a Happy Dollar. Well, I got a couple probably because I'm really happy that Derek's here, my son. So thanks for being here, Derek. And also, we Derek received his real estate license. We put a house that we own on the market, and we accepted an over full price offer this week. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that everything else happens the way it's supposed to pass that first step. So I'm happy about that. Anybody
Realtor
else?
keeps everything over the original price.
We have a special deal that this is on this compensation for that. Anybody else?
Happy Dollar celebrating our 24th anniversary, I think, since the last time we got together. So
Oh, nice.
Hey, Happy Dollar. Going in the kitty. My friend Josh is joining us on Zoom this morning. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
hey, Josh,
Hello, thanks for having me.
I have a happy dollar. Mike.
All right, David.
We just spent a week in Oklahoma City with our son Daniel, and our son Niels came along, so it's kind of a family outing. And we got to go to a University of Oklahoma game, which the Sooners have the biggest crowd I've ever seen when you come to football games. And then Tulane almost beat him, which was kind of funny because the newspaper read, we overextended our hospitality. because the Sooners are ranked number 3 in the nation, and Tulane wasn't ranked at all. So it was a fun game. There's a lot of games like that.
Oh, yeah, Rick.
5 Happy Dollars.
Oh.
Following up on the football theme. For those of you who know me, I'm a Penn State alum and fan, and my kids went to Penn State. We were at the Wisconsin game on Saturday as underdogs for the first game of the football season, and obviously came away with the win. It was a great experience. Wisconsin fans, we've been to Camp Randall several times. Good people. From the second we got there, you're welcoming us in and tailgating. The only thing is, I found out we were charged $40 to park. The Wisconsin folks were only charged $30. So it was a good time.
Welcome to the game.
We did.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for those Happy Dollars. I'm really pleased that we're getting back into a rhythm of sharing those stories and celebrating different wins throughout our lives here at the club. Ben, do you want to talk about our upcoming tree event on September 18th, coming up quick?
Yeah, coming up a week from Saturday. Planting event, which is at Fitchy Creek. Next week, I think we're going to dedicate the meeting for talking about it. So I am going to pass around a sign-up sheet for club members to sign up for a job there. And then we're doing pretty well on volunteers. We could still use a few more. So if you can reach out to, a friend or a neighbor, or give me a call if there's somebody, that I can reach out to, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, so just for the benefit of our friends on Zoom and our friends here, the club spearheaded by kind of Mr. Dorgan and Mr. Henriksen and Mr. Damish have really raised over $50,000 to plant over 100 trees at a local forest preserve here in partnership with the Kane County Forest Preserve. And we're planting the first batch of those trees on September 18th. We're looking for volunteers to help. It starts at 9 o'clock, right, Ben?
Yes.
So
Car as well.
What's that? Oh, Greg Carr, yes. He was instrumental in a lot of the prep work with the county on that. So we're excited about having that as one of our signature projects this year, and appreciate all the club members' help with that.
Can I throw something out real quick?
Sure.
On that, then I'm hoping to sign up to take photos on that Saturday.
Great.
Or whoever's going to be out there on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when the county's drilling holes, dropping trees. If they as well could get photos, because I'm not sure I can make it out on those days to take pictures, because I'd like to kind of build some sort of a media presentation of the event. So I'm hoping to do that on Saturday, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be good to get some prep pics.
That's a good idea.
Dan, not to cause a conflict, but I wanted to also tell you the district photographer is coming to take pictures.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think Scott had the idea, and I'm trying to run with it, is, this environmental project really aligns with Rotary International's passion for the environment this year and pivoting from polio into the environment. And so we're going to try and work hard and get this project into the Rotary magazine. It'll give a lot of notoriety to our club and the district. So that's one of the things I'll be taking on over the next several weeks. Having those pictures will be really important. So now I want to introduce Jim. So I know Alan's got to push a bunch of buttons over there. And thank you, Alan, for getting here early and getting all the technology and everything ready. So we're gonna move to Facebook Live, and a lot of times people watch this after the fact. So
We're live. It notifies everybody that we're live.
oh, it does.
Yep, notifies people that
Oh,
are,
all our friends and everything.
yeah,
on the
that we're
Facebook.
on. And so they may choose to watch it live or the recorded version's available.
Sure. And sometimes we get dozens or hundreds of views. Well, welcome to today's Elgin Breakfast Rotary Club. We're at the beautiful setting of Elgin Country Club. And today I'm pleased to welcome a good friend of mine that we work with together since I joined the furniture business back in 2006. And Jim Schwantz, NFL football player, mayor of Palatine, has been a networking partner and colleague of mine, and we've worked on many projects together. And I'm really excited that he's here today to give us a little background about his passion for football, his history in the NFL, and what the Chicago Bears are going to look like in 2021-22 season. So Jim, thanks for being here. Welcome.
All right, thanks everybody. Mike knows me pretty well. We've known each other for over 15 years now. And so he led with free food and football. So I'm here. So appreciate the opportunity to come speak. I think I've had the opportunity to speak to this club a few times, and I really appreciate you letting me come back and talk a little bit. So as Mike said, I think what I'll do is kind of lead with a high level look at my career, just so you kind of know how I got here. And then we'll talk a little bit about the beloved Chicago Bears and how this season could potentially go. So I'm born and raised in Palatine. I've been in Palatine my whole life, 51 years old. So for 49 years, I've lived in Palatine. I went to Fremd High School, didn't start playing football until I was a freshman. The coaches had to show me how to put the uniform on correctly. I had no idea how to put the uniform on the right way. Showed me how to do that. Played 4 years of competitive football at Fremd High School, played baseball, played basketball. Was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to go to Purdue University. Played at Purdue University for 4 years, started as a freshman. Was a freshman All-American, which really sounds cool, except for the fact I played as a freshman. If you play as a freshman, you're probably going to be a freshman All-American. So we were a very below average football team. We won 14 games when I was there in 4 years. So we weren't competing for national titles or Big Ten titles or anything like that. But I played a lot. I got to play a lot. We played a lot on defense since we weren't very good. I was a defensive player. I was a linebacker. So we played for 4 years there. I was an all Big Ten player my senior year. Senior year came and went. I was not, excuse me, not invited to any college all-star games. Was not invited to the combine. The combine is where potential NFL players go to be graded out, to be tested. You know, vertical leap, your speed, your strength. You take the intelligence tests. You do interviews with teams that could potentially be drafting you. So back then there were 28 NFL teams. There was 12 rounds in the draft. The draft came and went. I tell everybody I was a 13th round draft pick, and so I was not drafted out of school. So I was fortunate to have a few teams interested in me. I worked out for enough teams during the process. If you don't go to the combine, a lot of the regional scouts will come to your college and work you out. So I worked out for some teams. I had some pretty good workouts, and the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons, the Chicago Bears were all interested in me. So the draft ended. Nobody drafted me. I started getting phone calls, and the team that offered the best opportunity for me was the Chicago Bears. So I signed a free agent contract with the Chicago Bears in 1992. So that was Coach Ditka's last year. So got to camp, went through training camp, had a really good training camp. Was basically told by Coach Ditka, you have a chance to make this football team as a backup linebacker, special teams player, but we'll see where the numbers fall. Unfortunately, the numbers fell not my way. I was released, but a week later, or I'm sorry, 48 hours later, I was signed back to the practice squad. So I played on the practice squad for a year. For those that don't know, a practice squad is like being redshirted in college. So we got to play, do everything with the football team, just not play on Sundays. So on Sundays, I was in street clothes, didn't get a chance to play. Now the linebacker room when I was a rookie was a guy by the name of Jim Morrissey, who was a 85 Bear, played linebacker for a lot of years in the NFL, is a very good football player. A guy by the name of Ron Rivera, as we all know, is a coach of the Washington football team now. Had a good career as well. And then a guy by the name of Mike Singletary, who's obviously a Hall of Famer. So my linebacker room every day was something I could go to, and none of them were threatened by me, which in the NFL I learned very quickly is a cutthroat business. It's a business. It's as much as we love it as a game, it's a business. And so when I asked Mike Singletary, how do you do this, or this, he would give me his honest answer. When I watch Jim Morrissey and Ron Rivera get ready for a football game, those are the things I took with me. I was a sponge. I learned as much as I could. And they were awesome every day in that linebacker room. I'll tell you a quick story about Mike Singletary. So I used to work out very, very early in the morning because I was living at home in Palatine, my parents, and from Lake Forest to Palatine is not an easy drive. So I wanted to get my workouts done in the morning. So practice was already to go home. So it was very early in the morning. I finished my workout. I'm walking through the basement area of Hallis Hall. I hear a television copy of a game. So I walk into the room, sit in the back, and it's Mike Singletary is watching a game, but it's the television copy. And back then, you didn't watch television copies. You watch the team copy of the film. So it's broken down in different downs and distances and whatever. But he's watching television copies. So I sit down. And he's kind of mumbling to himself, but it's loud enough that I could hear. And the first play comes up. He goes, "This is a pass," and it was a pass. Okay, next play comes, and it was incomplete. Next one comes up, and it was a run. He says, "Run," and it was a run. And anybody knows if it's 1st and 10 and you throw an incomplete pass, you never want to be in 3rd and 10. So on 2nd and 10, you always run the football to make it 2nd and manageable. So it's all math in my head. So, but he goes like 11 for 11, right? He calls 11 in a row. So finally, I go, "Mike," I go, what is it you see here? What is it? He goes, "Watch when they break the huddle." So they break the huddle. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who were playing that week. And Vinny Testaverde was the quarterback. And every time they broke the huddle, when it was a pass, Vinny Testaverde would lick his fingers to get a better grip for the ball. When it wasn't, he wouldn't lick his fingers. So he had that tip from watching a television copy that nobody else would watch. So talk about a guy who was ultra prepared for what he did. Mike Singletary is a gifted individual, God-gifted ability, strength, speed, not size because he's a short guy, but his desire and his preparedness was unbelievable. So I learned quickly that it's not just about showing up, because everybody in the NFL is big, fast, and strong. It's about who's the most prepared, who does all their homework, who outworks the other individuals. And In my NFL career, I played with 14 Hall of Famers. He was the first guy that I got to know as a Hall of Famer, him and Richard Dent. Got to play with both of those guys and really kind of figure out how they went about their business. But so I was a practice squad guy the first year. At the end of the first season, I got a chance to play. It was one game. I was activated for one game, and that was for the Dallas Cowboys game in Dallas. So I got to play one NFL game, and I remember I was on special teams because I wasn't starting as a linebacker, obviously. I remember telling my wife, I said, I'm going to make one tackle. So if nothing else, I'm in the books. I got one tackle. I can circle it and show my grandkids that I actually played in the NFL. Made 2 tackles in the game. So it was a great opportunity. And I remember, celebrating like we had won the national title and we were getting beat 44-6 or something. So it kind of looked funny, but anyway, I got a chance to make a play. So what happened when they activated me is they got my rights for the next year. Well, Coach Ditka got fired, if you all remember, at the end of the 92 season. So Dave Wannstedt was hired. So kind of go back to square one. So now I'm back to square one and go through the whole process again, have a great camp. Was told by Coach Wannstedt I had a really good chance to make the team. Unfortunately, I did not make the team. Signed back to the practice squad and went the whole season in 93 on the practice squad. Did not get activated. Nobody, just my luck, nobody in front of me got hurt. And I didn't get a chance to get in the season. Now, back then, the NFL rules were you could only be 2 years on the practice squad. So the third year I go to camp with the Bears again. This is it. Either make it or I'm done. I can't get signed back to the practice squad. I'm what's called the practice squad lifer. I've already spent 2 years on the practice squad. I couldn't play another year. So the training camp goes. Coach Schwantz says you have a really good chance to make the team. Add into the mix now. My wife is 8.5 months pregnant with our first child. Final cuts come down. I get called to see Coach Wannstedt, and oh, by the way, bring your playbook, which is never a good thing. Coach wants to see you bring your playbook. That's the 2 things you never want to hear as in the NFL. So I go into the office, and Coach Schwantz got a big smile on his face, and I go, "You're either a masochist, you're a mean individual, or there's something more to this story." And he said, "Look, the numbers didn't work out for you here." He said, "But I made a couple of calls, and we're trading you to the Dallas Cowboys, and you're on a plane this afternoon. So good luck, and thanks for everything, and we know you're going to be great." So I go home, tell my wife, again, 8.5 months pregnant, I'm going to the Dallas Cowboys. So traded the Dallas Cowboys. That first year, I hardly played. I played probably about 4 games, made some plays. We were a really good football team. If you remember back then, the Cowboys won back-to-back titles in 92 and 93. So I'm going to the back-to-back Super Bowl champs. And in 94, we lost in the NFC title game to the eventual Super Bowl champs, the San Francisco 49ers. 1995, we had a really good year. I played in every special teams game, or in every game as a special teamer, I should say. Didn't start in any games as a linebacker. Was very lucky. I attached myself, again, remember in this with the Bears, I attached myself to some really good players. But the Cowboys had an opportunity to learn from the best, in my opinion, and Bill Bates, who's a special teams player. In fact, he was the first player ever elected to the Pro Bowl as a special teams player only. They made the Pro Bowl position special teams for Bill Bates. So had a great opportunity to learn from him. And in 95, we won a Super Bowl. So I was on a team that ended up winning a Super Bowl championship. It was a lot of fun, was everything you'd ever dreamed of. And was really, really, obviously, it was pinnacle of my career as far as an NFL player goes. The following year, 96, again, really good football team. Had a lot of the guys coming back to, we were the defending champs. That year was my best year as a pro. Again, I never started a game in the NFL as a linebacker. I was a special teams player. I covered kicks for a living. I was on the kamikaze squad, whatever you want to call it. That's what I did. In 1996, I set a record for the most special teams tackles in one season in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. So I was also voted to the Pro Bowl that year, and most important to me is I was voted All Pro. So for 1 year of my life, I was the best in the world at what I did. I covered kicks for a living. It's a very specialized career, but what I did, I set the record 32 special teams tackles in a season. So it was an unbelievable experience. Got to play a little bit on as a linebacker. I played in some of the substitute packages, nickel, dime, goal line, short yardage, those types of things. So I was a backup kind of linebacker, jack of all trades. It was a great year for me as an individual. Also great timing. I was a free agent that year. So you always want to be a free agent when you have a good year. And the San Francisco 49ers offered me a contract. I signed a 4-year contract with them. We went to the NFC title game with them that year. Unfortunately, we lost a home NFC title game to the unfortunately the Packers. And here's what kills me about it. The NFL, it's not when you play it for the championship, it's not a series. It's not like hockey. It's not a 7-game series. It's not a 5-game series. It's one game. If you don't play well one game and the other team plays better, that's it. Even if you're a better football team, we were a better football team than the Green Bay Packers by a lot. We played bad that day. They played well. They beat us. So I went back to camp in '97 with in '98 with the San Francisco 49ers again. They cut me. So I signed a 4-year contract. NFL contracts are literally not worth the paper they're written on. All that's guaranteed, all that's coveted is a guaranteed money. So I received my signing bonus check, but they cut me with 3 years left on my contract with no repercussion. None of it was guaranteed. Not the NBA, not baseball. None of that money. That money just went away. Thankfully, the Dave Wannstedt was still the head coach of the Bears. He felt he made a big mistake when he traded me because after he traded me, obviously I had some really good years as a player. So he signed me back to the Bears in '98. Went to camp with the Bears again in '99 under Dick Duran because Wannstedt was fired after the '98 season. So I got 2 Bear coaches fired. So that's what I have. My claim to fame. I did not make the team in 1999. That was the year they drafted Warwick Holdman and Roosevelt Colvin. So 2 very, very good young linebackers. So the writing was kind of on the walls. So I was released, worked out for the Minnesota Vikings, worked out for the Cowboys again. Did not receive any contract offers. I officially retired from the NFL in 2000 with a fax into the fax machine. And that was the end of that. So 7 years in the league, 5 years that were counted. I'm fully vested as an NFL player. I have a lot of great memories. That I told you I played with 14 guys currently that are in the Hall of Fame. That number will go up. There'll be a few more that my ex-teammates that I'll have a chance to have played with. My doctor and I sat down. Mike and I talked about doctors this morning because we got over 50 now, so we're talking about all our ailments. And my doctor and I figured out one point, they say every play in the NFL is like a car accident. So my NFL career, I was in about 1,800 car accidents. That was that's kind of where I sit as an individual. But so that's kind of like the high level Cliff Notes kind of version of my career. The average NFL career is like 2.5 to 2 3/4 years. So I did a little bit better than that. Have some great stories. Have a lot of great relationships. Guys that I get to work with, guys that I get to see. I was at a golf outing this past summer, and we're in before the golf outing started, we're in the down on the patio, and it's like a time warp. It's like literally you're back in the locker room. You're telling the same jokes. You're cracking the same guy, and it's just like time stands still. It's really a fraternity of guys that had an opportunity to play, in my opinion, the greatest game ever invented. But so I'm out of the league now. I'm done. There's a hard transition from the NFL to regular life. I mean, I didn't start playing football when I was 8, so I hadn't been playing as long as a lot of my teammates. But I've been playing for 15 years. 15 years, it was my life was football. And at some point, somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, "Listen, you're not good enough." Remember, in '96, I was the best in the world at what I did. I had no job in '99. That's how fast it goes. How quickly the precipitous drop between playing the highest level and not having a job. So you search a little bit for what you can do. I was fortunate. I got a job right away. Most NFL players take 3, 4, 5 years before they settle into what they do. Now, in those 3 or 4 or 5 years, the bills don't stop. The withdrawals from your bank account continue, and there's not a lot of deposits going in. That's how a lot of guys get in trouble. Most guys don't retire from the NFL. Most guys get retired. I was one of those guys that got retired. Most guys don't make enough money to retire from the NFL and just that's it. Most of us make about the league minimum, which is what I made. So searching for a job, I was fortunate. The Von Sydows, who I work for today, still to this day, hired me right away. So my last check from the NFL, my first check with the private sector, was short. That timing was short. And they tell you the shorter you can make that, the better. But I was searching for something else, kind of football wise. I love football. It's kind of what I've done for 15 years. So a good friend of mine named Jeff Joniak approached me and said, "Look, we're having some trouble on the radio with post game analysts. We're kind of doing a rotating chair. A lot of different old Bears will come in, or I should say old Bear, former Bears. Some of them are old, would come in and help us analyze the game after the game is over. And every once in a while, the guys just skip, and we don't have anybody to come in. And it's we need someone consistent. Which that's something you'd be interested in doing. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the media. I don't want to be a media guy. I never wanted to do that. I was approached with when WMVP came to town, ESPN Radio, to be one of the afternoon hosts. I'm like, that's not what I want to do. I love football, but I don't want to be in that. Oh, no, this is different. So Jeff explained to me what the requirements were, the time, the constraints, and what have you. I said, listen, I'll give it a shot. So this was 2001. So the 2000 season, I didn't do anything. The 99 season, I didn't do anything. This is 2000. So I'm doing the post game. And back then, if you guys are Bear radio people, it was after Larrabee. So there was those 2 years where Gary Bender was the play-by-play guy. So he's a national voice. The Bears hired him for 2 years until they found their play-by-play guy. So it was the second year of Gary Bender. And the following year, Jeff Joniak auditioned to be the play-by-play guy. He got it. So he left an opening for me to be the pre-game and the post-game analyst. So that's what I'm doing today. So for 20 years now, I've been doing pre and post-game on WBBM. AM, I can tell this group there's the AM side of the dial, AM 780, FM 105.9. And I tell you, it's for me, it's been therapeutic. It keeps me involved in football. It's kind of like scratching an itch. You know, I had a void in my life. This has kind of filled it. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I work with Jeff Joniak, Tom Thayer, Jay Hilgenberg is my pregame host, postgame host, and then Ron Gleason, who, for those of you that are sports radio people, he's one of the ones who started The Score. So he's been in the radio business forever. And we form a team that breaks down the Bear game prior to the game for about 2.5 hours, and then we do a 2 to 2.5 hour post game show. So it's been a lot of fun for me. You know, I've had the opportunity with the Bears to go to the Super Bowl. I was in Miami when they played the Colts. I've seen a lot of good football, some really bad football. I'm a Bear fan for life. I grew up loving the Bears. As a kid, you know, I was Walter Payton. My dad would have his lazy boy. When he got a new one, the old one would go in the yard, and we would plow through that and go over the end zone. That's how we scored touchdowns. Unfortunately, when we pretended to be quarterbacks, we pretended to get sacked and fumble because we were Bob Avellini, and so you know, we weren't Roger Staubach or Terry Bradshaw. We were Bob Avellini and getting sacked. But so Bear fan for life. Really enjoy. I'm doing it. This is, like I said, about my 21st season involved with Bear Radio. So you know, as far as the season goes this year, it's a you know, I keep saying 7 wins is kind of where I kind of settled in as far as I look at it. Anything can change. Anything can change with injuries and, you know, with emergence of players. The Bears have a pretty solid core of young players. But unfortunately, what we've hung our hat on the past 4 seasons, that defense continues to age a little bit, and that's got me concerned. The quarterback position, I don't disagree with the decision to go with Andy Dalton. He's a proven veteran. He's a guy that, you know, can get things done in the Matt Nagy system. Until they get the offensive line kind of figured out, I think that's probably the best. If they can get a group of 5 that they trust, that they can put Justin behind, I think then you'll see a little more Justin Fields. What I've said in the past, a couple of weeks on the radio, is I would like them Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace to leak to the media that we have a couple of packages for Justin Fields. Because if you're the Los Angeles Rams, then you've got to spend some time getting ready for what Justin Fields might do. And what the NFL doesn't afford you, whether it's if you have an injury or the next game, it doesn't afford you any time. There's not enough time in the NFL to get ready, you know, to get healed from an injury or to get yourself ready for the next game. So here you are, you're limited in time on the field, and you're going to take 15, 20, 30 minutes to work on what Justin Fields can do. And then if he doesn't play at all, you just spend a lot of time preparing for nothing. Or if he does play, maybe you didn't prepare for the right stuff. So he unfortunately is not in the mix, at least not known to us. He may come out the second series and play. That may be what they're trying to do. They may do the opposite, which is try to surprise the Rams. But we'll see. But for right now, what he does really well, obviously, he's a tremendous athlete, and he's going to be good. He's going to play in this league for a lot of years and be very successful. We had an opportunity to interview him after the second preseason game, so after the Bills game, and I asked him the question. I said, kind of generically, chemistry. How do you get chemistry with so many different receivers in training camp? You throw into 15, 14 different receivers between tight ends, running backs, and receivers. And everyone runs different routes. Everyone's different. He goes, and he's a polished guy. He took that question as a guy, as I was asking it in his mind, you're throwing to a lot of different because you're this backup. And he immediately goes, oh, I work with Allen Robinson and Mooney and Komet every day. So he, in his mind, he switched it to, I'm working with the number ones. I'm getting myself ready. I'll be ready when the time is called to throw to these guys. And it's not going to be an adjustment period. I'm gonna be ready to go. So a very polished, very confident young individual. Defensively, it concerns me big time is the opposite corner. I think Jalen Johnson played very well last year. Jalen Johnson did not have an interception last year. Jalen Johnson gave up a handful of touchdowns last year. And in his own words, he didn't have a great year, an average year. So with Kyle Fuller on one side, of course he was going to get picked on. Well, Kyle Fuller's gone. You've got him, and then you've got a competition at the other side with Kindle Vildor and a couple of other guys. So we'll see. I go back to this second preseason game, the Mitch Trubisky revenge game. The first throw he threw was to Kindle Vildor's side, to Jalen Johnson's side, and he broke it up. It was a pass breakup, very nice play. And the next 6 passes went to the other side of the field. That's what the NFL is. The NFL is going to find the 1 or 2 guys they think they can pick on, and it's a ruthless league. They will pick on those individuals until they can figure it out, until they can stop something. So I fear that's kind of be the next thing. So you've not only have you lost your best corner, Kyle Fuller, so the next guy, everybody kind of steps up and it leaves a void. So Kindle Vildor, who was not a starting corner last year, was a nickel guy. So now he's gone. So now the nickel position becomes open. So there's a domino effect on defense. Special teams wise, we saw, unfortunately, the punt team had a lot of trouble tackling anybody. Tackling in the NFL is at an all-time low right now. Unfortunately, you can't practice tackling. There's no way to practice it. You can't tackle anymore in practice. There's 17 weeks this year. There's 18 weeks of NFL season with the 17-game season plus the bye week. And they're only allowed to be in pads, I think it's 13 or 14 times all year. So you don't even get one padded practice a week based on what the new collective bargaining agreement allows. So the tackling is always going to be a little shoddy, especially early in the season. It usually gets better by the 4th or 5th or 6th week. I think it was Drew Brees who said the new NFL is because the preseason has taken such a drop as far as production. Back when I played, preseason was pretty important. It's not important as much anymore. He always said the first 4 games are like your preseason. So you never want to go 0-4 because that's a hole you probably can't dig out of. 1-3 is not great. 2-2 you can live with. 3-1, 4-0, you're playing with house money basically. Is kind of how he approached it. I think it's a pretty good look at kind of how the way the NFL has put importance on put less importance on preseason than they ever had. So open up to questions. If anybody has any, I've talked for an awful lot of time here.
After you left the Cowboys, went to the 49ers, what's it like playing against a group of guys that you've gotten to know so well in the locker room and now are trying to drag them down?
So I had 2 opportunities. When I was with the Cowboys, we played in Chicago after the Super Bowl. We opened on a Monday night in Chicago and got beat playing against a bunch of the guys I played with for 2 years. And then again with the Cowboys against the 49ers against the Cowboys. It's weird. It's really weird. It's for the 60 minutes you're playing the football game, it's not a lot of, back and forth talking. After the game, there's a lot of hugs and, congratulations. And we'll catch up in the off season kind of a thing. But during the game, there's a lot, even with college teammates and stuff, you see guys that you knew. There was a lot of trying to cut each other's throats, for lack of a better word. And then after the game, you're kind of hugging each other. So it's an odd thing. Certainly you're immediately called into the coach's office. Hey, what secrets can you give us? That's the first thing they start with. What are the tips? And so you give them whatever you can, because that's kind of how you do it. And then you go on and you just play football.
Kind of quiet on the field though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to tackle Deion Sanders, which I thought was pretty cool. I was covering, he was returning the punt. I ran him out of bounds, and he patted me on the helmet, and, nice job kind of thing. But that was about it. I mean, there wasn't, any trash talking back and forth or anything like that. And after the game, it was like, good to see you again. Maybe we'll golf this off season or something.
Have you been invited back to the Cowboys for special occasions?
So we were supposed to have the 25th anniversary of the Super Bowl team, and COVID hit. So they've been delaying a lot of that kind of stuff. So we'll see. This was Super Bowl 30. So 1995 was the year that I won this. So it would have been the 2020 season is kind of when we would have had it. So that was the year we lost with COVID. So last I'd heard that, they're delaying, maybe it'll be a 30-year anniversary, kind of waiting until everything's all said and done. But a lot of where we kind of get together is I do most of the Bear stuff because I'm in Chicago. If I ever flew down to Dallas, of course, they give you alumni tickets and you go to games. Same thing in San Francisco. I just don't get out there very often. My wife and I, we have a son that plays at Butler University. So he's a senior this year, he's a fifth-year senior. So our Saturdays are tied up with that. And then of course I'm doing Bear stuff on Sunday. So at some point when I'm done doing the radio and when our son has graduated, I'll get back to Purdue more. I'll get back to some of these other towns or cities that I got a chance to play in.
Jim, brag about your son, because at your time at Friend, weren't you athlete of the year or something? And talk about.
So it's funny. So my senior year, I was very fortunate. One of the reasons I got recruited was we had the #1 recruit in the state of Illinois at Friend High School. To have an opportunity, especially against this defense. I mean, Aaron Donald, Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Ramsey's an unbelievable corner. You know, we've got Leonard Floyd's a great rush guy. It's, I think they'll still commit to the run. They hardly ran David Montgomery this preseason, so I have a feeling that he'll see 20 to 25 touches Sunday night. A lot remains to be seen. I mean, David Hall wrote an article, and others have written articles that one of the top things that's holding this team back is the coaching. So, you know, the fact that you know it's Bill Parcells, right? I'm going to make the cake. I want to buy the ingredients. So he's the head coach. Of course, he's going to want to call the plays because that's what he's done for forever. So we'll see if it starts off bad. If he's got the conviction to be able to step away again and do what's right, because I know for those 5 games, he really immersed himself into everything, special teams, defense. You know, he's kind of on top of things as a head coach. But we all know he can't give up that play calling portion of it. So we'll
That's
see.
our weakness, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of the things I keep getting back from feedback from others. Yeah.
Who was your favorite head coach to play for, and who do you think was the best head coach to play for?
So, you know, it's a good question. My favorite head coach, believe it or not, you know, of course, Barry Switzer was great. I didn't play for Jimmy Johnson, but Barry Switzer in Dallas, who won a Super Bowl. A lot of people say he was like he let the inmates run the asylum kind of thing. That was kind of the analogy, kind of let the team run itself. Steve Mariucci was a fun guy to play for. You know, I'll tell a quick story. The NFL is a lot about routine, you know, a lot about superstitions. So the very first game of the year, we go down to Tampa and we get beat. And Jerry Rice blows his knee out. Steve Young gets a concussion. They're talking about him potentially needing to retire. So we play the Rams the following week without the best receiver ever to play the game. Some say the best ever to put on cleats, Jerry Rice, and our best corner, our best quarterback, I should say. The backup quarterback is a guy by the name of Jeff Brom. He's a coach at Purdue now. He got hurt. So we're down to our third string quarterback is a rookie named Jim Druckenmiller. So we go to the Rams, and on Thursday nights at San Francisco, somebody would have to buy dinner. By dinner, it was a incentive to stick around and watch extra tape. That was what they did. So you'd have dinner brought in, catered in. Everybody go to their rooms or to their position rooms. They watch extra film. So the first week it was the defensive backs who bought it, and we lost. Second week it was Mariucci. So Mariucci bought the dinner. Second week, and we win. So Mariucci's like, you know what? I'll buy it next week. We win again. We win 13 games in a row. He buys dinner every single week. And he's smiling because the more we win, the better he looks, the more money he makes potentially down the line as a head coach and extensions, whatever else. And he was a lot of fun to play for. Kind of obviously a West Coast offense guy, very, very smart individual offensively. Let the defense kind of run itself as far as the guys that were there. Put guys in positions to make plays, of course, in his offense, and empowered individuals to really run the team. We had a very good veteran structure there, and he knew that, and he kind of let that thing run itself. So Coach Ditka was fun to play with. You know, I see him from time to time and always thank him for the opportunity that he gave me. And Dave Wanstead did me a huge favor. I mean, he could have cut me in 93 or 94, but he traded me. He made an extra phone call and kept me in the league. So I owe a debt of gratitude to him as well. So a lot of guys I played for kind of have a special place in kind of what they did and kind of formed who I am today and kind of helped shape my NFL career. So thanks everybody. I appreciate the opportunity. It's always fun to talk football and I love the Rotary. I was a Rotarian in Palatine for a bunch of years. So I appreciate all that you guys do and the hearts that you guys have for charity and for this charity. And we definitely appreciate that as well.
Well, thank you, Jim. I'm Molly, and thank you for getting up so early this morning. And,
Football and food. Can't beat it.
all right. Well, you're always welcome back here. And, you know, Jim didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I will tell everybody in this room what I would tell all my clients is his professional career as the national sales manager for moving for Von Sydows. You could not be in better hands. Jim always does Jim and his team always do what they say they're going to do. They always come in on or under budget. And so as a professional mover, the way I know Jim the most, you know, you couldn't put your goods and your livelihood possessions in a better place. So you ever have an opportunity to share a contact with somebody who's moving, Jim would be a great guy. So thanks for being here. Thanks everybody for being here, and have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks, Jim.
Is that, 95 days, the bills we want to-
No, we need to,